Hey everyone! Welcome back! I am back today with more Attack on Titan. You guys, I am really excited. If you're joining me early today, you know what it means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so much, and as always, I'm sending you up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still thank you for joining me today. I'm very glad you're here. I do hope you'll consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in the description down below. So, the last few episodes of Attack on Titan have been really great, and I just want to start off by saying that I really messed up, and I you know, honestly guys, I did not even put it together like upon rewatching the scene. I think it's one of those things that you really have to like be good at inferring, which usually I am, but this one just went right over my head. So the last few episodes I've been saying like, did Eren eat his dad? He must have eaten his dad, right? So apparently this was like a part of a scene of a memory that Eren was having like 2 or 3 episodes ago, and it was like, it wasn't clear to me, but I guess it was supposed to be pretty clear that, like, he ate his dad. And that's how he got the power. There were 2 things that really threw me off about that. One was when they showed the Titan in the flashback, it didn't look like Eren. That was, like, Eren's mindless Titan, I guess. It just looked like one of the, like, abnormal ones or aberrant or whatever they call them that could just kind of, like, run around the forest like, whoa. And Eren doesn't have he has the coordinate power. He doesn't appear to have the memory wiping power. And now we kind of know that's because if the power doesn't go to one of the race bloodline, you can't really use it to its full extent. I don't know why that means he would get the coordinate power instead, unless like the race family had all these different powers, like the armored Titan power, the hardening power, which we now see Eren can do, the coordinate power, and when somebody outside the race family ate one of the race family, actually now it's been passed on a couple of times because it went through Eren's dad and then Eren ate his dad, so maybe it got watered down, I don't know. But you know, it's possible that that's why, you know, maybe you're only able to like tap into one of them. So apparently you can make people into Titans with like a syringe of, well, I think actually they did say, didn't they say it was like the spinal fluid or something? They did say that. They said it was like the spinal fluid. The spinal fluid of a Titan. So there was like a first Titan, apparently. Like, so this had to all start with somebody. And we know that the king, like, of this whole race family, he was very intent on not doing away with the Titans. And I think the way they explained it was almost like they were kind of brainwashed. Like the people of the race family, like they were brainwashed into not doing anything about, you know, because technically speaking, they had all the power they needed to wipe out the Titans, but something compelled them not to. We even saw like Historia's dad and his brother were like, at one time they felt like the Titans should be wiped out, but then like something changed. So it's almost like they're compelled not to, you know, you'd have to be to not like ever doubt that once in your life, like, should we just do away with the Titans and let people live outside these walls? So it still kind of begs the question, like, why, like, what is the true purpose behind keeping everyone inside these walls and keeping Titans? I imagine somebody had to, like, make all those Titans, right? I don't know if it was, like, that first king or what. But, like, there has to be, like, some kind of reason beyond just, like, I think what they had said was, oh, like, to keep peace. So I'm really curious to know more. And we know we had like a little conversation in the last episode that like we're gonna get to the basement, because now they know they can go and plug up that hole. They can get back to the basement. They had this great conversation, Hanji, Eren, and Historia, and a couple other people in our crew were there too, about, you know, the best way to stop, because now Historia's dad is a Titan, and he's a big old Titan. He's like bigger than the colossal Titan. And you know, they were having all these conversations about, you know, well, should we let him eat Eren, and what should we do? And it's like they came up with like a third option. So I'm like, oh my guys, my crew is always thinking on their feet, and I just love it. So that kind of leaves us, at the end of the episode kind of left us with Historia, who has so beautifully come into her own now. I just love how, like, everything we saw of, like, her relationship with Ymir and, like, all that really subtle development they've been throwing at us, like, for a while now, has all just manifested so beautifully. And she did decide, like, she would take the throne and be the queen, but not, as someone mentioned, like, oh, you're kind of forcing this on her now, just like other things were, but she, you know, like an actual choice of her own. Not that she has a whole lot of options, but, you know, she's decided herself to take on that responsibility. So I can't wait to see what's coming next. It's just been blowing my mind. I love this season so far. I love the way it's done. I love that we're getting so much background. But, you know, as with any Attack on Titan anything, you know, you're gonna get like some answers and a ton more questions. So it always keeps you guessing. So it's really, really fun. So what do you say we hopefully find out some of these juicy truths and everything, and get started on the next episode of Attack on Titan. Let's go. All right, you guys, let's talk. That was such a good episode. Historia is the queen. Historia is the man. And I have, like, it's amazing how my respect for her has just, like, soared. I started out, like, thinking she was fine, and then we kind of learned she's not who she says she is. And not only that, but her personality isn't even really that. It's, like, something she assumed more or less to try and, like, get by with this new identity. But to think that, like, she is this strong, I would have never pegged it in a million years. But they have done such a good job of building her up as, like, and she's really come into her own, and I feel like we're really seeing the effects of Ymir on her character as well. Because I feel like that's where a lot of the, like, live for yourself and, like, you know, don't be pushed around or, like, have like stuff forced on you, or feel like you have to force yourself to blah blah blah. I feel like that's where a lot of that came from. But, you know, it was her that took, like, all the extra steps to, like, get there, of course. But I feel like that's where, like, some of the influence came from. A lot of the influence came from. And it's so funny because when they were talking about earlier in the episode, you know, these people aren't going to be, like, too, you know, like, crazy about the idea of just some random person being their queen, you know? She didn't plan it this way, but for her to, like, just land there after having dealt the finishing blow, it's like, oh, I think your approval rating just went way up, girly. But because technically she shouldn't have even been out there, you know, if everyone else had gotten their way, like they wanted to keep her safe and everything. But and for her to, oh, that moment where she just, like, cuts, and you can see the dad being cut in there, and she can, like, see the memories, and oh man, you guys. And then her narration saying, like, this is the first time I've ever rebelled. This is the first fight I've ever had with my father. And was like, and it was this. It's like, how messed up is that? And yet here she is, just being strong and just doing what she has to do. And that's kind of the boat everyone's in, like, regardless of where they came from and everything. It's, you know, they're all just trying to save humanity now. But, like, her story is just so especially heartbreaking to me that, like, to see her just own her life like this, I'm like, oh, my girl, my girl. A while back, like, I saw, like, in the comments, people were, like, talking about how great she was and everything, with no, like, added spoilers or anything, but just how much they liked the character, and I'm like, oh, I totally get that now. I'm right on board with her. Yeah, the stuff with Eren, you know, it feels like he's always kind of had this rage against the Titans, but also kind of, like, an inward rage against, like, his ineffectiveness or his inability to do more against everything that he's been presented with. And his little narration about how, you know, he's just always been weak and he thought he was special because he was a Titan, and that's exactly what a weak person would think. And, you know, I really feel like that's a lot of that rage taken inwards. And I see how he could feel that way. But at the same time, I'm so glad he, like, snapped out of it. And, like, you know, his way of doing that was, like, beating the weaker self out of him. 'Cause, you know, it doesn't matter what you bring to the table. Like, everyone in this crew brings something different. And if you're bringing something, then that's, you know, that's that. And I get that, like, he was supposed to be the trump card and everything. And now, like, as we found out more about the Titans, you know, we've seen, like, it's not so exclusive for him to be a Titan. But at the same time, like, if you're bringing something to the table, you're bringing something to the table. And you're useful and you're important, you know. It's like, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's strategy, if it's being a Titan, if it's, you know, being a good leader, if it's, you know, being, like, supernaturally awesome in battle. You know, I'm looking at, like, Mikasa, Armin, John when I say these things. So, but that was at first I thought he was trying to turn into a Titan too. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, no, I'm just beating myself up. Like, Eren, when Eren beats himself up, he doesn't just beat himself up in the metaphorical sense. He literally beats himself up. Like, he's no joke. Eren is no joke. All right, guys, I loved that. That was awesome. Loved the plan. I love watching them execute their plans. They're always so well done. I can't wait to see what happens next, because now we have, like, potential Kenny Titan. Oh my god, I hope not. But I definitely want to see more of Kenny. And more of, like, that backstory as well. Levi's backstory. So, alright guys, that was amazing. As always, it just had me going and just left me wanting more. So, I hope you had as much fun as I did. I had a blast. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please be sure to join me next time, and we will watch it together. Bye for now, guys.